If something has 4 terms, that's when we call it grouping. And that's the ugliest G I've ever drawn. We're going to be grouping. And when we do, it's like we get a magic wand. We get to just throw parentheses around things. So let's say that I gave you 4x squared minus 8x plus 3x minus 6. And so if you've got 4 terms like that, with grouping, you can say, is there a GCF that they all have in common? No. But can you go like this? Psh, 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 psh. I haven't changed the problem. I haven't changed it. I just said, oh, you guys are friends and all you guys are friends. Do these 2 friends have something in common now? What could we factor out of these 2 guys? 4x, leaving me with what? X minus 2, Matt Reichert. Thank you. So, and how did he know that? If I multiplied this back in, I get what I started with. 4x squared minus 8x. Boom. Then I'm going to say plus, what do these 2 little friends have in common? A 3. When I factor a 3 out, what is left? X minus 2. You guys, when you group, what's in the parentheses will always match. And if it doesn't match, we've done something wrong. So it's a nice little check. In these parentheses, always has to match. And then how we write this pretty, I call it pretty, is take that 4x plus your 3, and you put those in parentheses, times whatever was matching, x minus 2. And you're done. So the last one we've got is called otut. You're like, what is with these stupid words? Well, I'm going to tell you. So this toot, just a reminder, toot only works when that leading coefficient is 1. So if I were to call these leading coefficients A, B, and C, A is 1 here, B was a 1 here, and C is negative 2. So I'm going to write myself a little note. This one only works when my A is 1. This otut will work when my A is anything but 1. For an example, let me give you 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Do you agree my A term is 3? That's not 1. My A is 3, my B is negative 5, and my C is negative 2. So we have to use otut, which is a longer method. I love toot so quick. When this is not, when my A is not 1, it's going to take a little bit more time. We're going to set it up similar to toot, but toot, we always went right here. Toot went T-O-O-T. Well, now we've got to go O-T-O-O-T. I've got otut written here, which just sounds ridiculous. And again, if you're like, dude, I don't need this, don't do it. But I've found that it's helped my kids. Do you agree that O is a multiplication sign? So anything with a little O or multiplication dot, multiply them together. This is a 3, this is a negative 2, multiply them together, and we get negative 6. My T is my plus sign. What adds to be negative 5? What multiplies to be negative 6 adds to be negative 5. Only one combination will work. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. When this was toot, we got to go straight to our parentheses, and we don't get to do that when it's otut. With otut, this right here, in my opinion, is the hardest step. Bring down your first term, 3x squared. Bring down your last term, minus 2. We got to replace my middle term with what Trace just gave me, which was a negative 6 and a 1. So I'm going to write minus 6x plus 1x. And you're like, wait, where did those x's come from? Well, you guys, do I have my original problem? Is negative 6x plus 1x really negative 5x? Yeah, I didn't change my problem. I just rewrote it. And now I've got 4 terms. Now I've got 4 terms, so this is just grouping, you guys. But in my opinion, this is the hardest step. Coming up with those 2 numbers, replacing them with the variable, now we group. What does this first set have in common? 3x, leaving with a x minus 2. Okay. Does this next set have anything in common? No, it doesn't. Yeah. What can we factor out? We have to factor something out. 1. We have to factor out a 1. 1 times what would get me x minus 2 isn't 1 times x and 1 times negative 2 going to get me what I started with. That's the big thing. If I distributed this, would I get what I started with? Yeah. Now, do my parentheses match? Yeah, good thing. And how we write this pretty is we got to say, all right, bring out my first 3x plus 1, bring down my second x minus 2, we're done. If we said they've got nothing in common here, that'd be a 0, and 3x plus 0 is not going to get me what I started with. So O2 is the most laborious. Let's practice number 3. All 4 of those terms, I don't see a GCF. Bandy, do you see a GCF? Do they all have anything in common? No. Nah, I agree. So you guys, when we got 4 terms, you can go like this. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. What does that first set have in common? 2x leaves me with a plus 3c. Does my next set have anything in common? B leaves me with a plus 3c. Do my parentheses match? If my parentheses match, I know I've done it right. If they don't match, we've got a problem. How we write this pretty is we go like this. 2x plus b times a plus 3c. And we're done. Do we see one that we would have to toot? Let's go with 8 first. I'm sorry, we can't toot this one because it's not 1n squared. We got to O-toot this. O-T, O-O-T. Anything with an O or a dot has to be multiplied together. So what are we multiplying together to be? Positive? 32. Oh my gosh, 12. Steffi, thank you. She's saying 3 times 4. They had the little O's. 3 times 4 is 12. Add together to be the negative 8. What multiplies to be 12 adds to be a negative 8. Negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12, and they add together to be negative 8. I love it. You guys, here's the most annoying part. Bring down your first term. Bring down your last term. Replace your middle term of negative 8n with negative 6n minus 2n. I just rewrote negative 8n as negative 6n minus 2n, so I haven't changed my problem. Let's group. What does that first set have in common? 3 and. What's left? N minus 2. What's this next one have in common? And sometimes we kind of work backwards. Do you agree that parentheses have to be an n minus 2? The parentheses have to match. So what could I pull out to multiply times n to get a negative 2n? What times n gets me negative 2n? I'd be like, all right, I'm going to put a negative 2 there. Then does it still work? Does negative 2 times negative 2 get me that positive 4? So that's a way that we could work back as well. If you have a parenthesis, they got to match. So my final answer, 3n minus 2, n minus 2. Done. Let's just do 2 more. You tell me. 10, 11, 13, 15, 16. Which one? Last 2, he says. Last 2. Is there a GCF on 15? No. If there's 3 terms and that A is not 1, we're going to go to... We went to O2. What multiplies to be negative 24 adds to be negative 10? Multiplies to be negative 24 adds to be negative 10. Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. Negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10. I dig it. I personally like to bring down my first term, bring down my last term, replace my middle with what Labeo just gave me. Negative 12k plus 2k. I have to write it like that so I haven't changed my problem. And then we group. That first set has a what in common? 4k, leaving me with, yes, ma'am. Steffi, does that look helpful that I have a 2k minus 3 here and I've got a 2k minus 3 over there? What do we have to multiply that one by to get a value, though? Yeah, I've got to take out a 1 there. Bandy, how can I help, buddy? What? You good?
Yeah.
We got to remember to write it pretty, which would just be a 4K plus 1 and a 2K minus 3.